Greetings, people. I wanted to get my shit together and talk about this before New Year's because so many people do the New Year's resolution thing, and that is often to do with weight loss. And I don't really know anybody that couldn't stand to lose a couple pounds. We live in a society now where we not only gain weight easily, but we carry it. We hold it around, carry it around with us because everything around us is so toxic. It makes our bodies hold on to fat. A lot of the main issue with people's inability to lose weight has to do with their toxin load in their body. So with this fasting that I have been doing, as you all know, for over a year now, but I've recently kicked it up and started doing 3-day fast, and I have discovered some really cool stuff. And I keep asking myself, how did I not find this out before now? I don't know how I didn't find this out before now, but I found it out now, and that's what's important. And so I am going to share it with you. I'm going to pop over here and say hello. Richard's here, and Chris is here, and Stacy's here. Hi, little bird. Getting a little collection going on here. 8 of yous. All right. Well, I'm going to get right into it. I have a little bit of... I had a bit of a revelation, oddly. I mean, I find that fasting definitely aids in the whole revelatory nature of life. I have some of my biggest wow moments during a fast. So, and this last fast was no different. First, I want to tell you what autophagy is. If you don't know what autophagy is, which you probably don't, apparently it is a new thing. Not a new thing, but it's a process that has been discovered newly. I guess it was, I believe it was 2006. And I have been toying on and off with something called intermittent fasting for years, since 2013. October 2013, I think, is when I went on a keto diet and I started doing intermittent fasting. I have been a lot heavier than I am now. And I have also been, in my adult life, 20 pounds lighter than I am now, which I don't want to go back to 20 pounds lighter than now, because that makes me feel like a bobble-headed stick figure. I don't feel strong. I don't feel solid. You know, I feel weak. Just, I don't like it. So I currently am 170 pounds. I'm 5'10". That's, depending on who you ask, I'm supposed to be up to 20 to 30 pounds lighter than this, which I can't even imagine doing. But this is a new low for me because I've lost 10 pounds since Thanksgiving, which is so backwards because people go through the holidays and, I mean, we notoriously gain weight. There's all these goodies and cookies and all this crap. And I can tell you, I ate cookies and I ate pie. I ate stuffing and ham and turkey, and I did not deprive myself. What happened though is I was fasting. It's hard to line all this up and explain to you how this all came about and how that has benefited me. Well, let's go back to autophagy. A guy, I can't remember his name. This is new to me, like I said, only since my last fast, which was just a couple weeks ago. So this guy actually got a Nobel Prize for his work in studying this process. This process happens naturally in your body when it is in a fasted state. If you stop eating right now, the average person that eats a normal, well-rounded diet, fruits, vegetables, meat, sugar is a large part of our diet. Even if you're living within, recommended standards, they still, the sugar that they say is normal to eat is off the freaking charts, in my opinion, especially coming from a position where I've been keto for so many years, because I've gotten the sugar out of my life and out of my body. And now when I eat something sweet, it's so sweet, it just like punches me in the face, because it's just pure sugar to me. So if the standard person eating regular normal diet stops eating right now, they will go into a fasted state when their body has used up all the glucose that it has in it. So whatever you've eaten that day and is in the middle of digestion and being absorbed in your intestines, and that whole digestion process, once that has completely stopped and you have no more glucose left in your body for fuel, you go into something called dietary ketosis. When you go into dietary ketosis, your liver starts to produce these things called ketones, and your body burns these ketones for energy instead of the glucose. Once this happens about, it takes on average between 24 to 48 hours to get into ketosis when you're not used to doing it. If I knock myself out of ketosis, I can be back in about 12 hours, because my body is so accustomed to running this way. And when you're burning ketones, you're burning fat. You're no longer burning the sugar, you're burning fat straight off your ass. It's amazing. That's why people have such great luck with low carb diets. Atkins diet, they lose huge amounts of weight. The problem is they go back to eating a standard diet once they lose their weight, and it comes back on, because sugar is not good for us. It's been shown that when you eat sugar, it actually lights up your brain in the same ways that cocaine does. I mean, sugar is a drug, and it is so addicting. We're so addicted to sugar. Getting off sugar is the best thing I ever did, ever. So much better. Even when I was heavy, eating a mostly low carb diet, I was heavy. I felt better. I slept better. When you're in ketosis, your joints, all the inflammation in your body goes away. I don't know if it's the beginning of arthritis or what, but all the top finger joints in my right hand get swollen, and they bend weird. And when I'm in ketosis, I feel so much better. I can actually do this. And I mean, they don't feel fat and weird. It's so much better. My knees don't hurt. My ankles don't hurt. Once you're in ketosis and you're burning these ketones that you're creating, you slip into, after about 16 hours, and you're still fasting, you still haven't taken in anything to eat, so you have gone into ketosis, and after being in ketosis for this little bit of stretch, your body goes into something called autophagy. And when you go into autophagy, basically the short of what happens is your healthiest cells, it is like literal survival of the fittest in your body. Your healthiest cells devour your less healthy cells, and it's like taking out the trash. It cleans your body, it renews your body. And after this process is triggered, it will continue on as long as you remain in a fasted state. So as this autophagy is happening, I mean, they talk about it making your scars lighten and go away, because your body actually like digests the scar tissue in you. It made me wonder things like, I have a tubal ligation. My tubes are tied. I wonder if you could reverse a tubal ligation through autophagy and heal the scar tissue on your tubes. Or most recently today, I was thinking about tattoos. I wonder if it would actually make your tattoos go away, or at least lighten up, like it would start to recycle that damaged skin, that scar tissue, and the ink that is still in your skin. But so I started learning about this autophagy since I started the 3-day fast, because one of my favorite things to do while I'm fasting is watch things about fasting. It's better than watching shit about food, you know? So I'm watching these videos about 3-day fasts and people having fasted even longer than that, like 7, 40, 50 some days. Like apparently the longest fast ever was 353 or maybe 83 days. This guy was really big and he just fasted on water. That was it. And lived for a freaking year without eating. So this autophagy thing is really interesting, because in watching all this stuff about fasting, they're talking about how losing weight, especially people who have a lot of weight to lose, through periods of fasting where you trigger autophagy in your body, is really helpful, because as you lose weight, as many people know, you have loose skin that is left because it is no longer filled up, but it is damaged skin. It's damaged, it's broken now. And through autophagy, it can actually heal sagging skin. And here's the thing. Here's why I know that this is true. Here's my experience with this, because this blows my mind. It really does. When I went keto back in 2013, I was doing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is where you only eat during a certain number of hours in a day. And it's totally adjustable however you want to do it. They suggest 8 and 16. So you are fasted for 8, or you're fasted for 16 hours and you can eat during 8 hours of the day. So basically you get up in the morning and you don't eat until noon. You break your fast at noon and eat your total day's calories between noon and 8 o'clock, and then you don't eat after 8 o'clock. And just doing this alone, not altering their calories in any way, people lose weight. Just drop in the meal, because it's not, because you can still eat your total number of calories and lose weight. The reason that it's making you lose weight is because of the fasted state. It's because you're starting to, you go longer without eating. And it's especially helpful when you are in ketosis, because you're already burning your fat. So you go into this autophagy faster. And they say that the sweet spot for triggering autophagy is about 16 hours of fasting. So since 2013, I have done intermittent fasting, but it's just, that's kind of how I have always eaten, because I've never been a breakfast person. Breakfast, just, I'm so not up for eating in the morning. I want a cup of coffee. I drink 1 cup of coffee and then switch to water or iced tea or something. And I'm naturally not hungry until noon, 1 o'clock. So when I went on keto and was trying to lose weight, I pushed it to 2 o'clock. And I was eating between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. I had a 4-hour window. That was cool. And I would eat like basically the whole 4 hours. You know, you're picking at this and some of that, and I'm cooking and eating as I'm cooking, because I'm not worried about calories. As long as there's no sugar in it, as long as there's no carbs in it, I can pretty much eat in this window. So I lost a lot of weight that way. I don't think I was triggering the autophagy though, because I did the saggy skin. I've given birth to a basketball team. So, you know, underneath here is not a supermodel, no matter how thin it gets. It's just, that's life, you know. But since I've gone back to fasting, I did that last year, where I fasted for 1 day, and 1 day a month for the whole year. And then I stopped, and then I restarted fasting again, but I started doing it 3 days. Most recently, like 2 months ago, because I did it 2 months in a row, and this last one was the second one. So right before Thanksgiving, I did a 3-day fast, and I was not in ketosis when I started. I had knocked myself out and didn't really care, because I knew I was about to fast, and I knew that would put me back in ketosis. So I wasn't in ketosis when I started, and I fasted for 3 days, 72 hours. It was actually more than that. It ended up being like 80 hours, because my fast would have broken in the middle of the night. And I lost 4 pounds. I wasn't doing it for the weight loss. I was doing it for the whole sacred secretion chrism oil that, if you don't know what I'm talking about by now, then you're new. And if you're new, you have other things to watch before you get here. But I did it for the 3 days, and the weight loss of it was just a happy side effect. Well, after that 3 days, I found that I was just not really hungry. So I started eating 1 meal a day. Around 5 o'clock was when I was really noticing I was hungry. And so I would sit down and for about an hour and eat. And I would eat a huge meal, because I wasn't worried about overeating, because I'm not going to consume more than 2,000 calories in one sitting. My stomach is too small for that, because it's shrunk from the fasting and from, being low carb and intermittent fasting and all of this. So I'm like, I've primed myself for this at this point. And I lost 4 pounds, and that was great. And then I did the 1 meal a day and ate whatever I wanted. I was even eating sugar and garbage. I was eating cookies and just whatever I wanted. But as long as it landed in that 1 hour, I didn't worry about it. I didn't care. Forgot about it. Then through Thanksgiving, and then a couple of weeks ago, I had another fast, my 3-day fast, second one. But I was already in dietary ketosis for the second one. So that means that autophagy, which this is the 3 days, just a couple weeks ago, that I learned about autophagy. I hadn't learned about it until this point. So I completely spaced there, lost my train of thought. Oh, my fast was coming up just a couple weeks ago, and I hit autophagy early. And during this time, I'm watching these videos and learning about this. And I'm like, this is really interesting, because I know that this is happening inside of me right now as I'm watching these videos. It even creates new stem cells in your body. And stem cells are like magic cells that go wherever they're needed and fix things. I mean, this is like really, truly an amazing process. And then it started talking about sagging skin. And I was like, my stomach could use some autophagy. And I was getting ready for a shower like a little while later, and, paused in front of the mirror and did that classic thing where you like head to toe, look yourself over. And as I was looking myself over, I stopped at my stomach and I looked at it, and I was like, that is smaller. Like I'm smaller this way, but the pouch that's just there, because you stretch out your belly enough times and it's just there. It's actually smaller. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I've got, the bit of sag right here. And so after I noticed my belly, the next thing I did immediately was put my arm up and was like, no shit, it's smaller. I mean, my arms aren't that big to begin with, but it's there. But it's really small now. So this is an actual thing. This actually works. I think that I've been triggering autophagy hit and miss in small amounts for the last few years. And just it's been ramping up for me for the last 2 years because I've been fasting more. I was even looking at my hair like 2 mornings ago. I was looking at my hair and I was like, I feel like I have less gray in my hair. I think it might actually be reversing my gray hair. So I'm really amazed by this. I was gonna start fasting 1 day a month, go back to fasting 1 day a month, and then on the cardinal points of the calendar, do a 3-day fast, which was why I was going to do a 1-day fast just this last time, but I was like, no, it's December. It's the solstice. It's my own personal cardinal point on this calendar. I feel like this is important. And I did a 3-day fast. I last minute decided, okay, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And I'm so glad I did. I learned so much. And I'm sitting here because I read a lot of Bible when I'm fasting too. I try to get my head out of the world, just not a whole lot of Facebook, not a lot of YouTube, unless, I'm watching about fasting and things like that. But, just step back from the noise and just be, and I'm reading the Bible and I don't even remember what I was reading because it really wasn't connected in any way. But as I was reading, suddenly it popped into my head, what if this is what the communion is? So, I mean, let's look up the communion. And so I'm going to share this with you because, of course, I found it endlessly interesting. Where is there I am. Okay. We're going to share screen to here. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. In remembrance of me. I couldn't remember exactly how it went, but I remembered that that was in there. So I came down here, and Luke, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And then in 1 Corinthians 11:24, and when he had given thanks, he brake it, and he said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me." And then I knew there was one that had blood attached to it. And in the same manner, he also took up the cup when he had supped, saying, "This cup is the New Testament in my blood, the new in my blood. And this do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me." And that's during the Passover. I always thought that was weird. Like, what's with zombie Jesus? Like, here, this is my body, eat it. Eat it and live forever. Drink my blood and live eternally. But if you fast for 3 freaking days, this happens in your body. You literally eat the bread of your own body and you literally drink your own blood. That's just, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm a complete, absolute freaking wackadoodle. But that kind of blew my crackers right apart. And I'm down. I don't think I'm going to do a 1-day fast. I think I'm going to do a 3-day fast. But I'm also eating 1 meal a day, which is triggering autophagy daily in my body. My body is daily renewing itself, which I think is really cool. But I don't want to lose too much weight. I don't want to. I'd be all right with losing maybe another 5 pounds ish. 5 to 8 pounds, but I don't think I would want to lose any more than that. So I think I'll have to go off 1 meal a day in order to fast 3 days a year or 3 days a month. But I'm very interested in fasting 3 days a month now. The moon comes into Aries, and I'm down with it. 7 days of unleavened bread, because you don't eat what rises. And for those of you that weren't here for, my rant about that, I am pretty convinced personally that unleavened bread, you don't eat what rises, and what rises is your sexual energy. You can't eat that. You have to leave it alone for 7 days. You got to do what you got to do for what you got to do, or who you got to do it for, but you should keep your own fluids locked up, and 7 days to creation, I mean, you store it up, and then the moon comes around into your sign, and this thing happens in you, and it's remarkably enlightening. It is remarkably enlightening. Something happens every time, every month that I acknowledge this and practice this. Every month, something happens that makes me go, wow. I realize something, or have, an epiphany, or find something that I didn't even know I was looking for, and there it is. I'm so down with it. And, I'm to the point where I plan my life around it. Oh, here it is. I actually have it in my calendar. January. Unleavened bread. Got my days marked out, and when I fast, so I know, because as I'm coming up to it, I for a couple days beforehand, I cook larger meals that have leftovers, so everybody else has their dinner and everything, and I don't even have to think about food. I don't have to touch it. I don't have to go near it. But it is definitely a very healing thing that is happening through doing this, and I'm really excited about it. I I learned about it, and then I ranted at a friend of mine about it, and just word vomit all over her, and I've got her convinced to go down to 1 meal a day, I think, to try to do this. But I set myself up for it accidentally. It just kind of worked out this way, which seems to be the story of my freaking life. Seriously, people are like, how do you just do that? And it's like, well, it was a long road. It was just a road I didn't realize I was on. It just kind of, I go where the wind blows me, wherever the spirit leads. And it was a slow process. So I don't know what it would be like for somebody who eats 3 meals a day to stop eating and only eat once a day. And some people get all loopy and weird when they don't eat. But I know some people, like Little Bird was fasting, and she was doing juice fasting, and was asking me if you would get the same benefits. And I was like, I don't know, I would assume so. Well, if you're talking about it from an autophagy level, you won't get the same benefits, because you are not truly fasting. You are fasting from food, but you are still taking in really a sizable amount of calories through juice, and juice itself is practically solid sugar. So you're kind of going on a sugar fast, or a sugar binge, really. So you're not going to trigger the autophagy in your body, because you haven't actually reached ketosis. Because drinking juice is the last thing you would want to do to get in dietary ketosis. You have to cut the sugar in order to reach ketosis. So it would have to be a water fast or a dry fast. And I was actually reading about how autophagy is actually stronger, and it is so much more beneficial to do a dry fast. And I'm a little scared of the idea of 3 days of not drinking anything. I'm not worried I'm going to die, but that's kind of big. But I am discovering all of this right now. So I was thinking, why wouldn't I do it the same way I've done everything else up until this point? Instead of deciding I'm going to go on a dry fast for 24 hours, I will just stretch it out. Maybe during my fast, maybe during my next fast, excuse me, maybe I'll just drink as little as I can. try to not drink. Maybe get up in the morning and drink my cup of coffee and then not drink anything for as long as I can and try to make it until bedtime, you know, but not put huge restrictions on it, but start stretching out the period of time, because I figure by the time you wake up in the morning is a special time, even though I hate calling it morning, but I don't know what else to call it. Everything else feels weird to me. But morning is a special time because when you wake up, you have already been fasted for however long you've been sleeping, at least. And if you haven't eaten since dinner, you have all those hours until your bedtime that you are fasted. So you are actually, you're half there by the time you wake up in the morning. So when you can start something in the morning and just push it a little bit further, it's not as hard to do. So those are my thoughts. All of them all at once in a giant... I filled up some time. Let's go back to the chat room. Oh, lots going on in here. Oh, let's get it off top chat. I hate the top chat. I miss stuff and people will say stuff to me later and they're like, didn't you see in the chat room I said whatever? And it's like, no, and I was watching the chat. Well, it's because it's on top chat. There's stuff that actually just doesn't even show up. What a stupid process. Oh, speaking of being in a dry fast, I was very dry. I was parched, extremely parched. Holy smokes. That's what happens when you let me run my mouth. So Richard's out fixing his car. I look freaking great. Well, thanks, Stace. I don't know how you look. I can't see you. It's really unfair. You should all have to have your cameras on and be looking at me looking at you. So I don't feel like I'm just sitting here in the corner talking to myself, because that's what I feel like a lot. Hi, Marie. How's it going? And the way is here. How are you? I can't eat only fruit sugars. I can't. I feel like crap if I eat a lot of fruit. I don't honestly believe that we are supposed to eat a lot of fruit. Fruit only actually appears in our lives most in like a 2-month period. There's like 2 months of the year where fruit is plentiful. That alone tells me I'm not supposed to be consuming a lot of fruit. I don't like it. Hi, Marty. How are you, sweetie? You're probably already gone, though. I've been babbling a while. Yep, and cheese is one of those addictive things, too. I look 29. You're lying, but thanks. No, you know what? You know what makes my body happy? Slabs of bacon. I like coconut oil and butter and beef. I love beef. I love vegetables, but I don't eat a lot of them because I don't handle the fiber well. A lot of people have a lot of digestive issues that would be a lot less if they ate fewer vegetables, but we're supposed to be eating all these fruits and vegetables. And yeah, I know all these vegans are like throwing shit at their screen at me right now, but I do not believe that is normal. There is no such thing as a vegan in nature. Vegans don't exist in nature. People are like, oh, gorillas are vegan. No, the fuck they're not. If they were vegan, they wouldn't run around eating the shit of carnivores. And they do. They eat shit every day because they have to in order to get the nutrients that is left in the poop of the carnivore. And people are like, oh, well, you have this long digestive tract and it's meant for absorbing all these nutrients and whatever. I don't care. Oh, well, if you were supposed to eat like carnivore, you would poop half an hour after you eat. Well, I'll tell you what, I do. So does my entire family. Oh, you have tons of rotting shit in your gut. No, I don't. I know I don't. I do cleanses and, oh, I'm clogging my arteries. No, I'm not. I went keto, started eating like 90% fat and meat. That's like 90% of my diet is fat and meat. And I've had the blood work done. My cholesterol has done nothing but go down. My blood pressure went down. My weight went down. My digestive issues went down. I started feeling better. My skin started looking better. My acne went away. I had less PMS. It affected my hormones. I started sleeping better. My joints stopped hurting. Like, eating no fruits and less vegetables has been, and no sugar has been nothing but beneficial to me. Nothing but beneficial. If I want something sweet, I use a little bit of stevia. It's 0 carbs, 0 sugar. If I drink, a lot of the time I will drink wine, white wine. Well, not a lot of the time because I don't really drink. But if I do drink, I had a margarita. Oh my God. We went for Mexican food last night and I had a margarita. Jesus. It was like sucking on pure sugar. It was tremendous. And I came home and I was like, oh. I took a 3-hour nap after I got home. Just zonked for 3 hours. A margarita kicks my ass that bad. And that's also to do with being in ketosis, because when you're in ketosis, your liver processes alcohol differently. So you actually find that you are more affected. I mean, unless you're a full-on alcoholic, I don't know, because I know when you drink a lot, it affects you differently than somebody that doesn't drink that much. But me, man, a couple years ago, I could put away a 12-pack. I would be drunk, but I could do it. Now, 3 beers, and I'm like taking a freaking nap. But I don't drink as much. I don't drink really. But holy smokes, when I do drink, it's not like a margarita very often, because that shit, wow, is that sweet and strong as hell. But yeah, keto and cutting the fruit out, it's been remarkable for me personally. And I was in this group on Facebook, man, this keto group. There's like thousands of people. There was like 10,000 people in this keto group. And actually it was called low carb, high fat, which is a keto diet. Low carbs and lots of fat. And there was people, I was in this group for a few years, and I watched these people go from like 450, 500 pounds. Like, seriously, a lot of them were men, like 6-foot tall men that were just like these huge barrel chested giant men. And they would go low carb. And they did this thing every Friday. It was called Facelift Friday. And they would post their starting picture and then a current picture. And I watched with my own eyes, watched these people lose hundreds of pounds, hundreds, 1 week at a time. And, you know, coming on and bragging that, yeah, they went to the doctor today and had their blood work done, and the doctor took them off their blood pressure medicine because their blood pressure's too low now. And, you know, it was healing them. It was healing them of all their inflammation. Inflammation has been shown that inflammation is caused from sugar, and it doesn't matter if it's fruit sugar. It's sugar. It's fructose causes inflammation in your body. It just does. So yeah, no, I'm way happier eating meat. I am a hardcore meat eater, but it's really important to me where my meat comes from. I don't go to Walmart and buy tubes of hamburger. The meat I buy comes from farms right down the road from me. They're pasture raised, happy cows that grow up down the freaking road, and they're butchered down the road, and they come to my little mom and pop grocery store right up around the corner here, and I buy what I need there. And if I have to buy something else, I can't buy chicken from there. So I do look for organic, free range chicken. I mean, it costs a little bit more, but I want healthy things going into me. I want to build my body with quality and not despair. I mean, oh my God. We drove across the country once and drove past what I knew were factory farms, because you could tell as you drove past them, these cows, just hundreds and hundreds of them. Like, oh my God, hundreds of them, shoulder to shoulder, nobody could move, and they're outside in a pen, and then nobody can move, and they're knee deep in mud, and they're just fucking standing there, and it just connected to this great big factory looking thing with fucking water vapor coming out the fucking top and shit. I mean, it was really horrifying. Honestly, it was. I drove by like, oh my God, I know what that is. I'm so glad we don't eat that. I'm so glad that, I mean, I can't stop it from happening. I can't make any kind of difference except for to not participate, to not put my money there. I vote with my money as best as I can. So yeah, I do absolutely believe that we should source locally, and I would even go so far as to say it would probably be a good idea to largely eat seasonally. If we ate seasonally, if we couldn't go up to the grocery store, we would spend a lot more time fasting. We would spend a lot more time fasting, and we would eat a lot more meat and a lot less vegetables, because that's what's plentiful at this time of year. You would try to preserve as many vegetables as you could to eat through the winter. But I mean, and if we're talking no grocery stores, I mean, we're probably talking no electricity too. So you're not necessarily freezing things, and or may not have a way to can them or whatever. So I don't know. I really think that we should be taking our cues from nature, and because nature really seems to have it figured out. And so that's largely what I've been trying to do. Going back to square one, and what would I think if no one told me what to think? My whole life has been spent telling everybody around me, tell me what's best for me and how things are supposed to go and what life is supposed to look like and how to be married, how to be a parent, how to do all of this shit. Well, what would you think? I mean, what would you think about anything if no one told you what to think about it? No one told you what it was. No one told you what to see or what to hear or how to process. Like, what if it was new? And I think that I'm onto something. I feel like I'm onto something, because ever since I started looking at things that way, things have really started changing and coming together for me on a spiritual level and on a personal level. And well, I think I'm onto something. Smoking weed from time to time is positive. Well, then I am an extremely positive person. Water fasting, yes, lots of water fasting. You've been camping for 5 years. Oh, yes, the way. You are the stop using your legal name. You yell at me all the time. I didn't know that you were camping. Like legit camping. That's cool. See, legal name for any reason. I wasn't there yet. Sorry. So what do people call you? Like in person, do you go by something like a name other than your legal name, or are you just like, hi, I am man camper? like I'm being a dork, but I am genuinely curious. What do people call you? You're like, hi, I'm the way. Follow me. This video is live. Yeah, money sucks. And I don't keep up with chat, but I try. Well, I go off on tangents and talk for a while. I got to fill time and then come back and scroll through. And also, if you really want to catch my attention about something I'm saying, it helps if you actually tag me in it, like at start typing Conspiracy Mystic, and it drops down. And when you click it, it'll highlight my name for me, and I will see that you are, waving at me. That helps. Oh, that's cool. Cappy369, hello, says, I saw one of your videos a few months ago and you look completely different. You rock, very inspirational. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I've been getting a lot of, that's inspirational lately, which I don't know. It's not what I'm going for, but it's cool. I like sharing my journey because, you know, I'm weird. I'm weird, and there are not a lot of people that are weird like me. I mean, you guys know how it is. I'm sure there are not many people in your real life that talk about the things that you're interested in, you know. I mean, we're all kind of oddballs out here, so. And then when something really makes a difference to me, all I want to do is tell people about it, because it's so, there's so much sadness, so much hatred and despair in this world, and if we can lift each other up just a little bit here and there, help each other out, it's a beautiful thing. It can change things, you know. Ugh, no, no drinks for me. I had my margarita last night. I'm good for a while. I will be toasting New Year's with iced tea. Although, really, as far as I'm concerned, New Year's was, well, Christmas. I mean, New Year's is when the new year begins. It's when the sun starts moving again, starts moving north, and it's the dead part is over. It's renewing now. So I don't really, New Year's is just another night to me. I'm usually not up late enough to watch the ball drop, or I don't do parties. I'm pretty antisocial. I'm not antisocial. I just don't have the right kind of social to bother with. Maybe, maybe I'll do a hangout. I'm sure that's not a a new idea. I bet you there's lots of people going to do a New Year's Eve hangout. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, I think I'm caught up. I don't know, it jumped a little. Ah, based on your blood type. Hello, Jim Beer. Hello, Jazz Sinclair. He's probably been and gone already, though. Yep, see, can't stay. Been and gone like the wind. You feel the same about saying morning. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to freaking say anymore, ever. Like, ever. I'm like, good morning? No. Hi? No, I don't really want to say that either. Hello? No, I don't want to say that. I'm like, greetings, fellow earthling. Like, what the hell do you say? I don't want to say anything. I don't want to speak anymore. I want to sit here quietly and say nothing, because everything I say is backwards and twisted and designed to create bullshit. Good night. Is that okay? Is night okay? I don't know. Good evening. Although, you know, I said it before, and I'm going to say it again because it's my show and I can say whatever I want. I think it's weird that we say good morning. If you were dealing with the sun, it would be morning as the sun went away. You would be mourning the loss of the light. And evening wouldn't be in the evening when you're getting closer to the nighttime hours. Even itself means even. So you would think the evening would be like the noon time when it's at its highest peak, or, you know, I don't know. Our language is definitely very weird. Have you guys seen, hi, Sandra. Uh-huh. Sleeping dust in her dinner. I sent Sandra the link to this before I even came on, and she didn't reply, so I tagged her on Facebook and nothing. I was like, well, maybe she's in bed for the night. It is late there. It's like 11 o'clock, right? I tried to do it earlier, but it just didn't work out. So, but I had promised, crossed my heart and hoped to die. What kind of stupid ass thing is that to say? Seriously? But I had promised Stacy that I would, in fact, be here tonight. So I was pretty hell bent. I even got a different lamp and put it up there so I wouldn't be backlit. I'm working it here, people. What's the top 3 things you have learned to do daily? Oh my, only 3? To do with what? I mean, you know, what are we trying to do? I have dietary things that I do daily. I have spiritual things that I do daily. I have physical things that I do daily. Lists of things. I am a nerdy list maker, and I'm old school, so I'm killing the rainforests by having post-it notes everywhere. I don't like electronic things. I don't like electronic lists. I have all that shit on my phone and I don't use it. I have this stupid smartphone, and the only reason I have this, the only reason is because I was about 100 miles away from home on a parts run for my husband and got lost. Well, I didn't get lost. I couldn't get off on the exit that I wanted to get off on because there was construction and I didn't know how to get around, and I didn't have a smartphone at the time. I had a silly little slider, and it didn't have internet or anything. And when I got back from that little fiasco, I went and got myself a smartphone and said, I will never get lost. I will have a map on me at all time. And that is like, seriously, I have a smartphone. I mean, I use it for different things, but that's why I have it, because I don't like it. I am a list maker. This is my planner. It has my life in it, my lists and activity trackers and all kinds of crap. That's a pretty cool thing too, that is really cool for daily things like, you know, to-do lists and cleaning lists and whatever, because this made my life so much easier. So much easier. And no matter what I'm looking for, it's in there. Like, where did I write that down? It's in here. Crap, where'd I leave my grocery list? What am I doing next Tuesday? I love my planner. Ay, ay, ay. Sky fly bry. Very cool. Trusty Shellback. Top 3 all over. Okay. Overall, you know what? 3 things that I think are really important that I insist on doing every day is I drink a little bit of apple cider vinegar because that has been amazing for me. I meditate every day, sometimes for only a couple of minutes, but every day I try to quiet my mind down, close my eyes, focus on my breath for a minute, and just shut it all off. I like to do it in the morning. It feels refreshing to me. Sometimes I'll sit there for 25 minutes, an hour even. But a lot of days it's just 5 minutes, but it helps. It really brings a peace to my day. I notice a difference when I don't meditate. It's like meditating sets a baseline for all my thoughts. And I go about the rest of the day with a quieter mind if I have meditated, where if I don't meditate, I tend to, you know, run off at the mouth and get all up in my head and having conversations with people that aren't there and, you know, things like that. And 3, every day, it is important to me to get my 10,000 steps. I wear a stupid Fitbit. But, you know, it makes a difference to me if I get my steps. I try to not sit for too awful long. I'll get up and walk for 10 minutes. Grab my stupid phone, turn on some music, maybe even set a timer. If all I want to do is 10 minutes and I'm really dragging myself to do it, I'll set a timer for 10 minutes and just go walk for 10 minutes. I've reached a point, and I don't think that this is necessarily normal. I don't think a lot of people do this, but I figured out that that's got to be what I feel happening. I have detoxed myself and gotten in touch with myself to such a degree that when they say that when you meditate, your brain, you switch into different brain waves. I know this is true because I can feel when it happens. I can feel when my brain slips into alpha and then down into theta. I can feel it happen. And the same thing happens to me when I exercise. A lot of the time, I will like really have to force myself to get off my butt because I don't want to and go for a walk for 10 minutes. But after about 5 or 6 minutes is when it usually happens for me. They say that when you exercise, your body releases endorphins, and it really happens. And I can feel it happen. It's like I said, about 6 minutes, and it doesn't, it's not like a surge or anything like that, but I will suddenly just feel really good about what I'm doing. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm walking along, I'm listening to my music, I'm doing it because I have to do it, because I want to do it, because it's important to me, so I'm doing it. And as I'm doing it, I will reach this point where I will notice I suddenly feel good about it. I suddenly have this, oh, and I know that that's when it happens. That's when I'm making this hormonal shift in my body. And I think that we are so we're so toxic. We are so heavy with toxins that we don't even feel our own bodies anymore. And it's not good. It's really not. But you don't know that it's not good when you're in it, because you don't know that you're not feeling something because you're not feeling it. It's not there. But I definitely notice things that I didn't used to notice. And they're very subtle things that are inside of me, and I know as soon as they're there, I can feel it happen. So I think detoxing is really important, and that's something that is a daily thing. But it's a daily thing by not covering yourself in toxins in the first place, because we get toxins from places that we don't even think about. Even just like buying lotions, you buy a lotion, and even if you try to buy a natural lotion or an organic lotion or something, there's still shit on that bottle you cannot read, and you don't know what it is. Would you eat it? No. Well, you're eating it if you put it on your skin. Here's a quick story some people know. We had a hot tub, and we recently got rid of our hot tub. Well, it was actually not that recent. I guess it was like a year and a half ago. But I had watched this video on YouTube where this guy took 2 glasses of water, and they were tap water with chlorine in them. And he took a chlorine strip. He poured it out of a pitcher. So he filled up 2 glasses. You watched him fill it up with the same water. Then he took a chlorine strip, stuck it in the one, and showed you what it measured. Then he took 3 fingers and put them down in the other glass and sat there for like 10 seconds. There was an actual counter on the screen, if I remember right, and it was like 10 seconds. Pulled his fingers out, and there was no chlorine left in that water. And I was like, no shit. So I went in my other room to the hot tub and tested the water, and there was no measurable chlorine in it. So I put some chlorine in it because I don't want to get in dirty water. Put some chlorine in it, ran the jets a little bit, got it all stirred around, tested it. It was good and chlorinated. Got in it. I soaked for 15 minutes. And when I got out, there was no measurable chlorine in that tub anymore. It was all gone. That horrified me. I literally did not get in that tub again. Not again. That freaked me out so bad. And I'm like, I just drank bleach. I just drank bleach. And so many people shower in that every day. Every single day. They're standing in this hot water, and they're opening all their pores so they're even more absorbent, and they're standing there and just soaking in it or bathing in it, and we're drinking it. And that's just the water. That's not the food and your makeup and your lotion and your laundry detergent and your dryer sheets and fabric softeners. And oh my God, you cannot buy clothes that don't have fire retardants in them. Like, This shit is insane, and everything that we do is so incredibly toxic. I know somebody who took their child. They had someone pick them up, and they had to drive, it was like 40 miles, 40, 45 miles. And the person that picked them up had a brand new, fresh off the showroom. It had like 10 miles on it. Like they had just picked it up that day, brand new car. And the woman's kid, like 10 years old, in the back seat of that car. By the time they got to their destination, the kid was asleep on the back seat. And they were like, well, that's weird. She must have had a long day. Honey, wake up. We're there. Honey, wake up. Honey wouldn't wake the fuck up. That kid was passed the fuck out on major like formaldehyde overload, like fresh car smell toxic. And they actually took her to the hospital. And by the time they got her to the hospital, she was waking up. She was groggy. She couldn't quite pull out of it. When they got her to the hospital, they put an IV in her and flushed her system with saline, just, super hydrated her. They didn't know what to tell them. They're like, oh, well, when has she eaten last? Maybe her blood sugar's kind of low. Nobody put this together. I'm the one that heard this story because it was one of my in-laws. So, it was told at a gathering. And when they told me the story, they didn't put the emphasis on the new car. They were bragging that they knew someone that had the new car, and they told the story. And I was sitting there thinking, it was the car. That car over toxified that kid to such a degree that she passed out and was sick. That is incredible. And we do this. We got air fresheners everywhere and hosing everything down with fucking Febreze, and everybody's wearing a ton of perfume. I can't even walk through Walmart because people stink so bad. They either reek of BO because they haven't bathed in a month, or they smell like an ashtray, or all they smell like is like they have bathed in every chemical in the bath and body aisle. It's sickening to me. Like, it's sickening to me, but it literally sickens me. Being around this smell, it makes me ill. And it's because I am not operating on that super high toxin load anymore. I used to wear a face full of fucking makeup every time I left the house, and all kinds of hair crap, and, go to the store, buy new clothes, bring them home, put them on. Few years ago, I saw this cropped tube top. It was like a tube top, but it was a little bit longer on the bottom. And so I thought it was cute, but I'm not a person that would wear that in public. Not my thing, not my style. However, I wanted it to avoid the tan lines of working in the garden. And so I bought this top. Really cute. Brought it home. I didn't try it on in the store because I was in a hurry. So when I got home, I had to go out and water the garden. So I put the top on. Took off my stuff, put on this top, looked in the mirror. That's cute. Went outside, spent 20 minutes watering the garden, came in, took the top off, put my other clothes back on, went back to my normally scheduled program. About an hour or so after that, I kept itching. Like, I kept really itching. Like, God, my chest itches. And I'm itching and itching and itching. And then, I'm ignoring it. And then I'm itching and itching. And then I actually came in my bedroom, pulled up my shirt and my bra, pulled the girls out and looked at them. They look normal. They're red because I've been scratching the shit out of them. But, oh, my God. And I'm telling my husband, I'm like, I itch so bad. I don't know why. I'm going to go take a shower. So I go take a shower, clean all off, washed real good. I continued to itch. I itched for over 24 hours, and I didn't even put together what it was. I didn't even click. Wasn't until later, and I just looked at the shirt and thought, there's a lot of crap on that, dye and crap. I wonder if That's got to be what made me itch. And then it just suddenly, oh, well, duh. Put it on. I wore it for 20 minutes. 20 minutes was all it took. And I was like ready to claw skin. I itched so freaking bad. And when I was a kid, my mom never washed my clothes before I went to school in them when they were new. We would go clothes shopping, school shopping, and I would basically get, half of a new wardrobe every year because kids grow and they need it anyway. And so I'd get 2, 3 pairs of pants and, 5, 6 shirts and new underwear and socks and everything. And I would take them in my room, take the bags in my room and cut all the tags off and fold everything and put it away. And then I wore it that way. I know a lot of people that would do that and not think twice about it. Well, it was in the store. It's clean. Nobody's worn it or got it dirty. It doesn't have dirt on it. Now I buy new things. I bring them home. I fill the washing machine up with straight hot water. I'll put a whole freaking gallon of white vinegar in it and a whole like double load of how much soap should even be there. And then put the new things in it and let it soak. Close the lid and let it soak. Well, let it agitate, get it mixed in real good and then let it soak until that water is cold. And then I'll let it run its cycle. And then if they're not, if I pull it out and I can still smell that, it's the formaldehyde. It's got to be. It's got a very certain smell to it, and I can smell it, and it's sticky. Like if you go into like the middle of Walmart or Penny's or wherever you shop and pick up the clothes and like rub your hands on it, you can feel that there's something left on your fingers when you're done, and that shit is soaking into your skin. I don't even like to try shit on. I try to know my size, hold it up, and guess it the best I can because I don't even like to put it on my skin without washing it first. I own things I don't wash because I got them home and washed them and then they didn't fit. And so I'll give them to somebody else because I would rather do that than put it on my skin without washing it first. Do you like my scarf, Stacy? I actually, it's stupid that I'm going to show you now. The hell are they called? Oh, the shade. It's stained and ugly and old. And I was like, oh, I want to cover that up. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna use this scarf specifically. Stacy sent me a scarf. Isn't it lovely? It's silk and it's beautiful. It's got this lovely greenish turquoise and it's very cool. And so it is hiding the lamp from the masses. Everybody in the world seems to have a problem with my freaking walls, so I have to assume they're going to have a problem with my freaking lamp too. I cannot tell you. This is actually kind of funny. I cannot tell you the number of people that have freaking told me, dude, why don't you put up some drywall? Like, what are you, the fucking wall police? I can have any fucking walls in my house that I want to. If I want to build a whole goddamn house out of fucking particle board, I will. And then I'll live in it and it'll be mine and you can kiss my ass. So there's that. But the funny thing is, I actually did this on purpose. This wasn't, a cost-effective thing or anything. I knew a woman that she put this really small addition on her house. It was basically a glorified porch. And she finished the whole inside of it in this wood. And she stained it. And she had all these plants hanging in there. And she put this dark brown ceramic tile on the floor, and I just thought that room was so pretty and so relaxing, and it feels rustic, and I liked it. And so when we redid this room, because this room was not livable when we moved to this house, when we redid this room, and my husband was like, well, what do you want to put on the walls? I said, you know what? I want to put this on the walls. And he was like, really? Like, really? But I didn't want it to look like I was living in a particle board house. So we bought some oak paneling and you can't see it real well because it's really dark, but it's oak paneling from the center down and then this up top. I mean, what if it was drywall and just this pattern on wallpaper? Like, why do people give a shit so much? What is on my freaking walls? I even had somebody scold me about the chemicals in it, which I am aware of. When we put it up, we actually baked it We baked it, and then we baked it once it was up and let it air out and let it cook in here. And then we stained it and used a special stain that was a low chem stain. And then we baked that in and let it sit and air out. And it was a process from the time we started putting the walls up until we actually came into this room to live in here. It was a couple of months because it had to go through an off-gassing process. Because ew, and then we put a seal on it so it's sealed, so anything that's left isn't coming out. It'll go the other way to go out, but it won't come in on us. I don't know, but people are really freaking concerned with my walls. Dude, why don't you put up some drywall? Why don't you move out of a trailer park, asshole? Wow, that was a really long sidetrack. Sorry. I'll sidetrack with a lot of attitude. But, I've been debating whether or not to actually ever bring that up. And, I was just feeling it at the moment. Oh, I gotta show you my, oh, well, I can't show it to you without ripping it. I got this, it's a little button. It's a hexagon. It says, "Stand back, fuckers. I'm going to try science." And I thought that being on my solar system poster was the appropriate place for that to be. I found it in Spencer's. I'm like, oh my God, I have to have that little pin. Stand back, fuckers. I'm going to try science. And I'm going to make spinning balls in universes and water that sticks to shit and conforms to the outside of a container, because that happens all the time. It's science. Oh, I gotta have the poster. I like it. It cracks me up. It's got all these solar system facts on it. Did you know the planets in our solar system travel in a path around the sun called an orbit? The period of time for a planet to complete its orbit around the sun is called its year. It's like patronizing. Jupiter is often distinguished by its large red spot. This red spot is actually the largest hurricane in our solar system and has been raging for over 300 years. You would think that it would be in different positions in pictures ever. Good shit. I mean, okay, it's definitely there. You can see it with a good set of binoculars. You can look at Jupiter. You can see Jupiter and its moons. You can see Saturn, rings on it, and everything. But that shit is not what you think it is. I don't know what it is, but it ain't what we think it is. What do I wash my clothes with? You know what? I go back and forth between using soap nuts and Arm & Hammer. Arm & Hammer seems to be the most efficient with the least amount of crap in it. But I really only use that as I have well water and it's really hard water. So I use these soap nuts, which seem to work really well. I bought them on Amazon. They actually get soapy and slimy, and mixed with my hard water after some time of being washed several times, the clothes, they just don't seem to get as clean or smell as clean. And so I kind of give them a reboot and use regular Arm & Hammer laundry detergent and wash everything and then go back to the soap nuts for a couple of months. But I don't use any fabric softener or dryer sheets. I use white vinegar. My washer in the center of the agitator has a little cup where you put your liquid fabric softener. I filled that up with white vinegar, and then I put a splash in the wash water too. And I have wool dryer balls that I put in the dryer. Supposedly they soften the clothes by basically beating the snot out of them while they dry. I don't know if that's true. I've been using them for a while. I don't necessarily think my clothes are particularly soft or not soft. I like them because I don't use the dryer sheets. So I will take my dryer balls and take a bottle of essential oil, like I like lavender, and I'll get some on the ball and throw them in the dryer. So it gives the illusion of the perfume. Lavender is my favorite. I understand that eucalyptus is good, which I thought was kind of weird, but I was told, I know it sounds weird, but you have to try it. I haven't yet, but I hear that that's good. But yeah, and I buy this soap. I can't remember what it's called. I want to say it's called Ken's. Is it? No, it's not Ken's. I just started buying it for my husband. It's a bar soap, and you can apparently buy it in a liquid, because I just started doing that recently. Ordered it from Amazon and found it in a liquid. It was like cool because he uses it for his beard and his hair. It's a natural coconut oil soap. It has like 4 ingredients in it, and the first ingredient is coconut oil, and they're all like natural ingredients. And he likes how soft it makes his beard and hair. So that's what he uses, is his bar soap. He just foams it up and then washes his head with it. Me, I started using it since I got it in the liquid, but I only wash my hair. Everybody's going to be like, oh my God, seriously? But I mean, it's so weird to talk about shit like this. But I mean, at least you people, for the most part, I mean, you understand that I'm not like gross or anything. But I only wash my hair like about every 2 weeks or so, which I know is like, what? I know most people wash their hair every damn day. Every day they take a shower and wash head to toe and wash their hair, and I don't. And I know a lot of people think that they have to. They're like, oh, well, if I skip washing my hair for 1 day, it's greasy and oily and gross. I can't not wash my hair. But the reason that your hair is greasy and gross is because you wash your hair. And I know this is true because I used to have that hair. I used to have really greasy, constantly greasy. It had to be washed every day. And sometimes I would take a shower at night with my husband and not wash my hair. And then in the morning when I'm getting ready for the day, just tip my head upside down in the tub and just wash it then. Because just going from night to morning, my hair would start to get greasy. Like it was always greasy. And you know, you ask a doctor, you're eating too much fat, eat less fat. You're getting greasy hair. Teenagers have greasy hair because they eat too much fat and sugar, and no. Sodium lauryl sulfate is what makes your hair greasy. Sodium lauryl sulfate is in soap, it's in shampoos, it's in your toothpaste, it's in conditioners, it's in hair care products, it's in everything. And it makes it foam. It's the special foaming agent. It was created in the 50s as an industrial grease solvent. So like in factories, when they were like needed heavy duty industrial grease solvent, they used sodium lauryl sulfite. And it foams so nice, they started putting it in everything. So you're washing your hair with a heavy duty degreaser. You're washing your face with it. You're washing your whole body with it. And then your skin is breaking out in acne and your head is full of freaking grease. And you're like, oh, it must be all the fat that I'm eating. It's not. It's the shit that you're washing with, and it's the shit that you're putting on your face. Stopping washing my hair was miraculous. It was miraculous for me. I started washing my hair once a week, which was really uncomfortable, but I got through it because I was a stay-at-home mom. So it was possible for me to not leave my house, and I didn't, like the first week I didn't wash my hair, I didn't leave the house because my hair was disgusting. It was gross. It was so greasy and grimy and nasty. So I got through the first week, and when it came time to wash my hair, I was trying a no shampoo adventure and washing my hair with baking soda, which I had heard really great things about at the time. So I would mix up water and baking soda, which I had to discontinue doing because I'm very, very sensitive to texture. And it turns out that the texture of rubbing baking soda, wet baking soda in my hands is like, oh, it's so bad. And I hope that ends up being my thumbnail for this video. I'm all, but I couldn't handle it at all. But I was washing for a little while until I got over the grease. It took me about 2 weeks, and I washed with baking soda, and then I would rinse it with apple cider vinegar, a mix of half apple cider vinegar and half water. And that's all I did with my hair for a while. Then I stopped doing that because I couldn't stand the baking soda and started just washing my hair. But I would use an apple cider vinegar rinse in between washes. Did that for a while. Then I started only using the apple cider vinegar. I realized that your hair stays cleaner if you don't get it wet. Suddenly, the joy of owning a shower cap, I realized, because I was like, why do people wear these? That's so dumb. Well, if you think about it, if you go back 30, 40 years, go back to like the 50s and 60s and even into the 70s, women would go to the salon and get their hair done. They would go, they would get their shampoo, they would get their curlers put in, get their hair set and dried, and it was done. Then they go back the next week and do it again, and they didn't do shit with their hair in between. They would wear a shower cap when they showered to keep it dry so it would hold its shape. And in the morning, they would get up and, maybe dampen their fingers and kind of, pick through it and done. or even a lot of them put the curlers back in the curls and go to bed so it holds its shape. I mean, if you think about it, you remember this stuff. They didn't wash their hair every day. They weren't using the industrial solvent. It was still an industrial solvent then. So now I find that I go a good 2 weeks. I don't get my hair wet much in between. Sometimes I do. Like, I'll wash my hair, and then like a week later when I take a shower, I'll rinse it and then do an apple cider vinegar rinse and then keep it dry after that until a week or so after that. And then eventually I'm like, yeah, I guess I should wash my hair. Okay. And that's basically how I decide to wash my hair on the way into the shower. But my hair doesn't smell. It's not dirty. It's not greasy. It's not sticky or gummy, or it really stays clean. And I mean, think about animals. Animals in the wild don't get baths, but they're clean. I have a white cat whose white is so white. And yes, I know cats groom themselves, but she's got white in places she can't lick, and she stays white. I think that there's probably some kind of self-cleaning nature that happens. Maybe not, to a complete efficiency where you don't ever have to bathe or something like that, but we wash too much. And a lot of your immune system comes from the things on your skin. We carry around an entire ecosystem on our skin, and it's our very own personal ecosystem, and it's either helping you or harming you depending on what you're doing to it. And if your entire ecosystem is being completely stripped on a constant basis, it's not helping you. If you're, washing head to toe, scrubbing all up every single night, you're cleaning all of the good off of you along with the bad. I mean, some people have jobs where they get really sweaty or really dirty or whatever. And I mean, if you have to wash, you have to wash. But if you don't have to wash, why do you? It's a program that we've been told this is what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to wash all the time. And I mean, you know, like I said, don't go around stinky, but I don't use perfume. I don't use deodorant. I do not smell. I do not stink. The only time I stink is if I stress sweat. If I get pulled over by a fucking cop, I smell like a dirty boy's locker room by the time that cop gets up to my freaking window. I am so uber stressed out by being pulled over by freaking law enforcement that I will stress sweat. Oh my God. And I can smell myself when that happens. And I'm like, oh my God. Ugh. But I don't wear deodorant. I wear magnesium oil. I buy magnesium oil and I put it, I'll show it to you. I bought these little bottles from Amazon. And this is actually my deodorant. It's got the little blue sticker on the top because I have a few different smells and different things I use them for, but my deodorant has a plain blue sticker on the top. And I just fill it with magnesium oil, and I'm currently on a sandalwood kick. Can't seem to get enough of the smell of sandalwood. So I have a sandalwood essential oil that I put a couple of drops in here, and it smells so good. And I just give it a vigorous shake and squirt, 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 squirt. Magnesium oil, I don't know why, but magnesium oil has a deodorant effect. It's not an antiperspirant. You're going to sweat, but you won't smell. I've been doing that for a long time, and I don't do it every day. Sometimes I forget, but I don't really notice when I don't. I mean, like I said, I don't smell, so it's not like, ew, I should have put on deodorant. I like the smell of it. I like to smell something pretty because I don't wear perfumes, and I don't have, you know, oh, Meadow Fresh clothes. No, my clothes just smell like clothes, you know. So I like to have something pretty to smell, you know. But the magnesium, I mean, humans, we are largely magnesium deficient, largely. We've depleted the soil. Factory farming and, you know, big agriculture has depleted the soil of the minerals so much that we don't have the same minerals and stuff in the food that we eat anymore because it's not there. It doesn't, not getting the nutrition it needs to grow. So it's nutrition deficient, and then we eat it and we're nutrition deficient. But magnesium oil has done a lot for me. If you have trouble sleeping at night, magnesium is excellent for sleep. I use the oil in the morning as my deodorant, and then I take these at night. Magnesium citrate, because there's a couple few different kinds of magnesium. And according to the research that I did, I can't quote it at the moment because it was a while ago. I've been taking this for a while, but I researched it, and magnesium citrate is the one that you want. It's the one that is the most bioavailable for you and does promote sleep and is least likely to give you diarrhea. If you are taking too much magnesium, you will know because you will get the shits. But I take 3 of these. 3 is the suggested serving. I take 3 of these and 1 of these when I go to bed at night. I like my valerian root, and if I feel like I need it, sometimes I take 1 of these. I like melatonin. I like this brand. Spring Valley Melatonin 3 milligram tablets. Not all melatonin is created equally. I have played around with melatonin for a lot of years. I used to give it to my kids sometimes when they were particularly, like if they were sick, because we didn't medicate them a lot. So if they were sick and I knew that they were going to have trouble sleeping, I would give them a melatonin to help them sleep. And they are not all created equally. I've tried many different brands, many different strengths, as few as 1 milligram, and broke them in half even, and as much as 5 milligram tablets. And I've taken 5 milligram tablets that left me feeling absolutely nothing. I've taken 1 milligram tablets that made me feel like I was hungover in the morning. They knocked me out so hard. I felt like I was dumb as dog shit in the morning. But these ones, these Spring Valley melatonin 3 milligram, these are awesome. Because when I do take these, I get to sleep fairly quickly. And if I wake up 4 or 5 hours later, I can stay up. I don't feel that heavy drugged feeling like I got from so many other brands of melatonin. So this was a pretty good one. And I got it off of Amazon. I like it. I have another bottle of it in the other room. I try to keep it around. It's one of those things that I try to have on hand because you never know. Our phone rings all the time because of the business. It rings through the night sometimes. So sometimes I need a little help and sometimes I don't. It just depends. But that's what I like. That's what I do. Buy, consume, obey, bathe. Frankincense, myrrh, and baking soda will keep you from stinking under your arms. Yeah, baking soda is pretty good. I thought about, I make my own deodorant sometimes. Sometimes I just use coconut oil. Just like, because I use coconut oil to moisturize. I have jars of it. One in my bedside stand, one over by my mirror over there. It's the only thing I use on my skin. Raw, organic, extra virgin coconut oil. And after I shower, put coconut oil on and I'll rub it in my armpits because that is antibacterial. And so, I mean, what you're smelling isn't your sweat. It's the bacteria eating and farting. Honestly, your armpits smell like bacteria parts. Yummy. So if there's no bacteria, there's no smell. I wonder if that's why, if magnesium oil is also antibacterial, and if maybe that's why it makes a good deodorant. But yeah, I used to buy like Tom's of Maine deodorant, which I don't buy anymore because it turns out Tom's is a big fat fucking liar. They're a bullshit company masquerading as a healthy company, and they're kind of shitty, so I don't use them anymore. But I had some leftover deodorant containers, and if you take a leftover deodorant container and make your own deodorant, you can use like plastic wrap, cellophane, put it down in there and pour it in like a mold. And then when it's done, you pull it out, pull the plastic wrap off, slide your thing back in there and use it just regular deodorant. Especially because coconut oil will, it's solid at room temperature. It starts to melt at, I believe, 76 degrees. But I don't think I'll be able to tolerate the texture of the baking soda. I think I'm going to use it in my son's deodorant because he's 16 and 16-year-olds can use all the help they can get in the armpit area. But I think I'm just going to do mine in coconut oil, maybe some beeswax. I like how if you melt beeswax, it gives coconut oil this really silky, smooth texture, which is really pleasant. And in the winter, my coconut oil can get so freaking hard that I actually have popsicle sticks that I will leave sticking out of my coconut oil, and I'll use it to like dig out some so I can melt it and rub it around. But if you melt it and melt in a little bit of beeswax, it makes it a little more pliable so you can scoop it out easier when it's really freaking cold out. It's really freaking cold here. But we're coming into New Year's, so it's only going to get colder. It's like winter's just now starting. Everybody's like, I can't believe we haven't had any snow yet. It's like, really? It doesn't really snow until January, but whatever. Apparently, I remember shit that's a lot different from what everybody else remembers a lot of the time. So there is that. And apparently, I am philosophically eclectic. Yeah, that's probably this is a pretty good description of me. I'm eclectic. everything about me is eclectic. I take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and some of this, and I like this and I like that. My music, I find very few people that like the range of music that I like. I like a lot of stuff. I like a lot of country, classic country, like George Jones and uh not so much Willie Nelson. Oh my God. What's Buck Owens? I love Buck Owens. Like, I'm so down with Buck. And a lot of 70s rock, and love 80s hair bands, and I love classical music. I love piano music. I will not listen to rap. Rap is not music. It's not music. It's poetry at best, but no. And I even kind of like opera. It's not something that I like listen to or have on in the background or something, but I know a lot of people that are like, "Ooh, what is that you're listening to?" And me, I'll listen to it. It's so Opera is so packed with emotion. Like it's one of those. It's it pulls emotion from you. It just does. It doesn't even have to be a language that you understand, and you can feel the force of the energy that is coming out of the people that are singing, and gives me goosebumps, makes all the hair stand up on the back of my neck. I love it. I love Mumford and Sons. I love Mumford and Sons. They're wonderful. I like bluegrass. I like progressive bluegrass, newer stuff, and like folksy stuff, and I like my guitar. I play Bob Seger, like Bob Seger and CCR, and gosh, what else do I play on there? I play country on there, Garth Brooks. Everything about me is eclectic. The books that I read, all different genres, all different types, spiritually eclectic, all different traditions and religions and philosophies and theologies. And I was always just open, just really open-minded. Like, show me, teach me, what do you got? Teach me something new. And if it, when it rings my bell, I like it. And when it doesn't ring my bell, I'm like, well, that was cool, and I walk away. I'm, take what resonates and leave the rest. It's what I've loved about Martin Kenny and his work is, man, that first video, when he first did that video with Santos, where he was introducing the cosmic egg theory, I mean, it was immediate. Every bell in my head started going off, and I'm like, this guy knows things. This guy is on to something. This guy has knowledge. That's the way it's always been for me. Whatever path I've taken, it's like, oh, I know that's the way to go, and I just go that way, and it seems to, I pick up things here and there and take them with me and leave other stuff behind. I think it's a very self-serving way to live, and I don't mean that in a negative way, like self-centered, but it serves yourself to truly seek truth, to take what you recognize as truth and incorporate it and leave behind the rest, because there's no point in arguing about it or telling them they're wrong or whatever. You can just leave it on the floor and walk away. And it's been my experience that that's a very good way to structure yourself. I don't like labels and boxes, and I like little bits of everybody's labels and little bits of everybody's boxes, because everybody's got a little piece of something that is real, that is true. And it's usually pretty easy to identify, I think, in my opinion, if that's what you're looking for, is real truth. It kind of jumps out at you and grabs you. I dig it. Martin is snacks big. He is snacks big, which is apparently the worst typo in the world for amazing. typo ever, dude. Martin snacks big. But they're vegan snacks because, you know, he's Martin. So they're big vegan snacks. Martin has big vegan snacks. You heard that here first. But I think I'm going to hit the skids. I think I've run my mouth enough. I love apple cider vinegar. I'm smart and cute. You know what, though? Garlic. I saw something recently that I wanted to go back and actually read more about, that was saying that garlic is actually poisonous. And that's why it's so good for your immune system, because it's actually like poisoning the viruses, and it's just more poisonous to the virus than it is to you, because you can take it in larger amounts. And I thought that was silly, but you know, I'm not one to not look into something just because it seems silly, because I would be missing a lot of things that way. So I did want to go back to that. I think I have it bookmarked here somewhere in this mess. I've got folders full of bookmarks of things to go back and look at, and it's just a matter of sitting my butt down and spending the time doing it, because I'm usually doing a dozen other things. But yeah, it was interesting. So I mean, I don't know. Garlic's good for us in my experience. I eat lots of garlic. I love garlic. I love cutting garlic, and then like your hands smell like garlic for like, even if you wash right after, immediately after dinner, I'm like, oh, the garlic. Totally love it. I love garlic. People are like, ew, you have garlic breath. I'm like, fuck yeah, I have garlic breath. It's awesome. You should have ate what I ate. Then you would have it too, and then neither of us would care. You had to look up if roasted peanut. Why wouldn't roasted peanuts be safe for birds? I mean, they eat unroasted peanuts. What? Everyone hates cigarettes. Doesn't that mean you ought to smoke them? Yes, sticky garlic fingers. Oh my God. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm out. Have a good whatever you do for whichever day that is. What day is that? Okay, so have a good Monday night into Tuesday morning, whatever that means for you. And if I feel froggy, I'll kick it on and see if I can convince one of you slack-jawed ninnies to come on here and chitty chat with me. And we'll have a hangout for New Year's Eve and, you know, amuse ourselves. Somebody else can drink. I'll sit here and watch someone else drink for New Year's. That'd be fun. But you're serious. But I don't understand why you're serious about that. People hate smoking, so I should smoke. If it doesn't have THC, I'm not interested in smoking it. I smoked for a long time. I smoked about 2 packs a day for like 15 years. Long time. Cold turkey. Cold ass turkey. Came walking out, and 6-year-old son had a short little pencil, and he went, "Look, Mom, I'm smoking like you and Dad." And the next morning, me and Dad didn't smoke anymore. And it's been 13 years this March. After 2 packs a day for 15 years. It's been 13 years since I had a cigarette. I can't stand them. I can't even stand. I can't sit in my mom's car. Well, I can. She has a new car now, and she doesn't smoke in it. But her previous car, I couldn't even sit in it. Even if she wasn't in it with me, and even if there was no one smoking in it, the smell of the cigarettes in the car would actually give me a headache. Just the smell of it in the air grosses me out so bad. So bad. I could smell it from a mile away. Pull up to people in the middle of freaking winter with the windows up at a stoplight, and I can smell the cigarette that they're smoking. It is so disgusting. And you know what? Vaping is even worse, because, I mean, God knows what the hell is in the shit that they are sucking into their lungs in those vapes. But what's worse than that is when you smoke a cigarette, You put the cigarette in your mouth, you fill your mouth full of smoke, you pull the cigarette out, and then you inhale it into your lungs. You get a mouthful of smoke into your lungs, and it goes into the top part of your lungs because you're not taking that deep of a breath. You watch people vape, they stick that shit in their mouth and they go, they suck it straight in, and it goes deep in their lung, and they don't have a start and a finish. You light up a cigarette, you smoke it, takes about 8 to 10 minutes to smoke a cigarette, you put it out, you're done. Chances are you're not going to pick up another cigarette unless you're like a hardcore chain smoker. You're probably not going to pick up another cigarette for what, 15, 20 minutes at least. And there's what, maybe 15 drags on a cigarette, maybe less if you're busy and not paying attention and let it burn. But people walk around with a vape in their hand and they're sucking on it constantly. They don't smoke a cigarette's worth of it and set it down. They suck on it like once a minute. I was watching this one guy came here to collect an impound vehicle, and I was watching him through the window, and my husband was talking to the woman that was with him, and he was standing there, and he would take this super deep hit off of this vape, exhale all the vape out, and he probably took 3, maybe 4 breaths, and then he was hitting it again just as hard. And they were outside for 15 minutes, and I watched this guy do this for 15 minutes without a break. Only 3 or 4 breaths in between, and he was hitting that thing the whole time he was here. That cannot be good. And everybody argues, oh, it's got to be better than all the shit that's in cigarettes and all the tar and all of the, you know, these chemicals and shit. I disagree. I completely disagree. I think it is simply swapping one habit for another, and it is just a different set of chemicals. It's a different set of shit that you can't fucking pronounce. Not to mention, the shit's actually blowing up in people's faces. Like, it actually burns the oil to create the vape. So when you're hitting it constantly, like people do, and as hard as they do, you're heating that fucking thing up. Every time you hit it, you're heating it up, and it doesn't have time to cool down in between, and they're blowing up in people's faces. And they smell like fruit. Who wants to smoke a strawberry? They're getting kids doing this shit. They were put on the market as a stop smoking aid. Like, oh, you'll be able to quit cigarettes because, you know, you'll step down your nicotine and do it this way, just like the gum or the patch or whatever. I actually know people, more than one person that vapes that never smoked. They actually started vaping. It's like a new habit. Nobody just starts chewing nicotine gum. Or one day I was in the store and I was like, you know what? Give me some of those Nicoderm patches. This doesn't become a habit. This is a legitimate way to get away from smoking, but vaping is not. And I don't honestly believe that it was ever an actual intention, a real intention for that to be that, to fill that void. They created that as a way to get more people to do this shit, to totally toxify yourself. We are so heavy in toxins, and by smoking and vaping and shit, one of the largest ways that we get rid of our toxins is with every breath. Every time you exhale, you're exhaling toxins that were in your blood. Your heart pumps, your blood goes through your system, your blood cleans your system, blood picks up all of this shit along the way, and our exhalation cleans the blood. And we don't even breathe deeply. And now when we do, we're sucking in freaking strawberry vape. It's horrifying to me. It really is. I mean, I can bitch about this shit for days. It really bothers me. It really, really does, especially having children. I'm so glad my kids don't smoke. My kids don't vape. My kids don't do this shit. My kids smoke pot. My two oldest smoke pot. The youngest is only 16, and he's a homebody introvert, so he's not out doing things with other people. So he's a safe bet for now. But I mean, if the worst things my kids do in life is smoke pot, like, I'm down with that way more than smoking cigarettes or vaping or drinking or doing, God forbid, meth or some god awful shit like that. I mean, I'm the mom that does mushrooms with her kids because I would rather they did mushrooms with me that I grew and know where they came from and I know what they are and I know how to dose on them than have them go to some party and start dropping ecstasy or LSD that who made? In what beaker? What's in it? It's got a fucking smiley face on it though, so it's probably okay. No, that is not how you like send your kids out into the world. That terrifies me. The shit that is available for them to get into is horrifying. And I'm like, you know what? If you're going to get into anything, you're going to get into the shit that I tell you to get into, because then you're into something and then you're less likely to do the other things as far as I'm concerned. Because it wasn't I'm going to rebel against mom. You know what? Fuck her. She says don't do drugs, and I know she smokes pot. No, I was like, yeah, smoke pot. Knock your fucking self out. But be where you're going to be for the night. Call me. Tell me you're staying there. I don't ever want to catch you driving like that, or I'll kick your ass. Like, fine. You want to do shit? This is how you do it responsibly. It was important to me. No one ever taught me. I did stupid, stupid shit. I should have been dead so many times. Oh my God, you have no idea. I should have been dead, dead, dead. So many accidents, so many wrong place, wrong time, and just so many things I walked away from. And people are like, seriously, you walked away? Nothing happened? No, nothing happened. No. People say, oh, you're so lucky. I don't believe I am. I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't believe in luck. I don't believe that luck is just a happenstance that, may or may not be. It's too random. I like the notion that we create our reality. We create our luck. We create our situation, even the shitty ones. Taking responsibility for the shitty state of my life was like one of the best things I ever did. Nobody wants to take responsibility. They don't want it. Because then they have to admit that, I might have done some things wrong and maybe I should, be different. I should be different than I am now because maybe, I'm not the best version of myself that I could be. And people don't want to look at themselves that way. They want to defend who they are. Defend what they do, even if it's wrong. Even if they know it's wrong, they'll defend it and make excuses for it because they're very tied. People seem very tied to what they know, what they believe in. I mean, God, we all know that. People are so tied to what they believe in, even when you can fucking demonstrate it, that it can be easily disproven. You're believing something that is not provable, and oh no, I definitely, yeah, no, I know. Good. Very tied to their egos and their beliefs. Beliefs will kill you. I like knowing stuff. I'm not big on belief. I like experience. Show me, teach me. Love to learn. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Show me I'm wrong. I love to be wrong. People think that's crazy. I love to be wrong. People get all high and mighty and they're like, you're wrong about that. I'm like, really? Show me. Here's a link. Here's an article. Here's a study. Here's a video. Here's something. Show me something, and if I was in fact wrong or it makes me question what I thought I knew, I will absolutely look into it and try to figure out if I'm off in left field or if I was on to something or what, because I don't want to pass on false information. I don't want to mislead anybody or say I know things just to have something to say. I want to help people. I want to have experiences and tell people about them and help them. So, if that's a nice thing about gaining knowledge that way, because it's really hard for somebody to tell me I'm wrong about a lot of things, because most things I have come to the conclusions I have because it was my experience. Like, I actually experienced this. I tried it. I love trying new things. I loved sleeping experiments. Got into polyphasic sleeping for a long time. I was recently thinking about going back to it just because it's like an experiment in consciousness, because once you alter your sleep patterns, it alters your very consciousness. You actually lose track of time to a large extent. I will have to look outside and see if it's light out to know if it's day or night. I have no idea what day it is, but when I was doing polyphasic sleeping, I would sleep. It's been a really long time. I would sleep for 20 minutes every 4 hours. I think that's what it was. The first 28 or the first 24 to 48 hours is like hell. It is the most tired you have ever been in your whole life, ever, all combined into one fucking moment that doesn't ever end. And you are like, I just want to sleep. I want to sleep so bad, but you can't. You gotta only take the naps when you're supposed to take your naps. You have to set alarms, and you have to become sleep deprived, because this neat thing happens when you become sleep deprived. Your body, the restorative part of your sleep, the part of your sleep where your cells are healing and is, the regenerative good part of your sleep, is your REM sleep. It's the REM cycle. It happens after you've been asleep for about 45 minutes when you fall asleep. Well, when you become sleep deprived to such an extent, your body starts putting you in a REM cycle without the 45 minutes having elapsed. So after about 2 days of not sleeping hardly at all, you start to take these 20-minute naps. And I would lay down, got my alarm set for 20 minutes, and I'd hit the alarm, stretch, close my eyes, deep breath, like really try to relax and sleep. And I will often, once adapted to it, I will start dreaming before I'm asleep. So I'm laying there. I can hear the TV in the other room that my husband's watching, and I can hear my son in the kitchen making a sandwich, but I'm seeing something, and it's a dream. I'm in a dream, and I'm very much aware of all of these things happening at once, because I'm not awake and out there, but I'm also not in the dream. It's like you are outside of yourself, which also happens when you are still that conscious. As your body slips into a REM cycle, it becomes a lot more likely for you to have lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences, because your consciousness is altered to such a degree that by the time you are falling asleep, you are almost outside of your body already. You've somehow disconnected in some way. It's really hard to explain if you haven't experienced it, but it's an amazing experience. The longest I ever did it was about 2 weeks. I ended up giving it up because I got sick. I got a cold, and the best thing to do when you get your ass kicked by a cold is you want to sleep. And I was not maintaining this process while sleeping, well, while not sleeping. But I've been thinking about going back to it just to play with it, because I'm also noticing that I'm fasting and doing this 1 meal a day. So I spend a large part of my day in a fasted state, and I am finding that I have so much more energy. I feel so much more motivated and uplifted so much more of the time. And I'm functioning on an average of about 6 hours of sleep at night. I kind of wake up on my own. I tend to wake up in the middle of the night is what I do. I fall asleep around 11, and I'll wake up around 2, and then I'm up until like 4:30, and then I fall back to sleep, and I'll sleep until 8, 9 o'clock in the morning when my husband wakes up, and then I wake up, and then I'm up for the day. So I'm already sleeping in a broken, weird sleep pattern, which is why I got the melatonin out, because I was trying to train. When you take melatonin before you go to bed, if you do it regularly for a couple of weeks, you'll actually train your brain to create more melatonin at a certain time of night. So if you took a melatonin at 10 o'clock every night for 2 weeks, at the end of those 2 weeks, when you stop, your brain expects melatonin, a melatonin kick at that time of night. And when it doesn't come via the pill, your brain will actually, your pineal gland will actually secrete extra melatonin to make up for what you're missing supplementally. So I was trying to bridge that gap in the middle of the night, because I seem to wake up in the middle of the night every single freaking night. I get up, I go pee, because I drink constantly. I drink water constantly. So I'll get up and pee, and then I often find I'm up for a few hours. So I was thinking last night, during the 4 freaking hours I was awake, I was thinking, what if I went back to polyphasic sleeping? I mean, I'm really getting into this fasting thing, and it does, when you're fasting for 3 days and really focusing on spiritual things, it is consciousness altering. And so if I'm already kind of toying with altering my consciousness in this way, what if I added to it, started in with some out of body experiences and some lucid dreaming, and see what happens. So I haven't completely decided if I'm going to do that yet, but I am toying with the notion, because it is a really interesting experience. If you can get past the first 20 or first 2 days, I want to say 20, or I want to say 48 hours and 2 days at the same time, and it keeps coming out 24. The first 2 days is the worst, but once you can get past that and you actually start to sleep, you end up sleeping a grand total for an entire day, like 3.5 hours. That's it. But you feel rested. I felt rested at the end of my nap. After like maybe the first week, you don't even really pay attention to the clock, because you feel the tiredness come on. You're like, oh, it's time for a nap. And you look at the clock and it's like, yeah, I got about 10 minutes, and it's, that time. And then you'll go and lay down, and I'll set, I always set the alarm, because you don't want to oversleep. It throws it off, and you'll screw yourself up and have to start over again. But I'd set the alarm and immediately go right into a REM cycle and dream. And your 20 minutes, once you're adapted to it, you'll take a 20-minute nap and have what feels like a 2-hour nap. It feels like a 2-hour dream, like you just watched a movie in your freaking head. And the time, it elapses differently. It just does. But once adapted to it, I will find that I will wake up with about between 30 seconds and a minute before my alarm goes off, because I'm just naturally going into this REM cycle, being there for 20 minutes, and then naturally coming back out of it. And when I wake up, I feel awake. The biggest downside for me doing these sleep experiments and playing like this is that I can't drink coffee. I can't get up every 4 hours from a nap and drink a cup of coffee. And I like my morning cup of coffee, so that's what it is kind of like, waking up every morning and not drinking coffee anymore. So that's kind of a bummer for me. I don't know if I want to try that, or maybe just 1 cup of coffee a day with my husband when he gets up, and then that's it, or something. I don't know. But if I drink a cup of coffee after like 3:00 p.m., it will affect how fast I fall asleep at 11 o'clock at night. I don't drink coffee. If I have a second cup of coffee, it has to be before 3 p.m. or it affects my sleep. So taking a nap every 4 hours, I'm not going to be able to drink any coffee at all. But I don't know. If I do it, I'll let you know. I'll be on here all looking like a raccoon. I'll be like, guys, I'm so tired. I'm going on hour 48 that I've been awake. I don't know if it's 2020 yet. Is it Tuesday? I don't know. What was my name? That's what it's like. It's really cool when you get there, though. It's really, really cool. If you've never experienced a lucid dream before, they are really spectacular. They're really awesome. They're really vivid and impactful. They're very neat. I love them personally. But all right. I said I was going to go, and then I just kept right on talking. So I am actually going to go this time. It is time to put the feet up and chill. Oh, you said stay in your body. Kingdom of heaven is within. Astral travel is for satanic hive minds. No, you astral travel every night when you sleep. Whether you want to or not, it happens. It's doing it on purpose is simply a matter of being aware of it. And I know that this is true because children do it. Children astral travel naturally every fucking night and often remember it because they haven't been programmed yet to ignore dreams, to not remember, to whatever. And I went through that with my kids. My kids used to tell me stories all the time about being up and around the house in the night in their sleep. And I know that they were, astral traveling because all of these stories that they would tell me always started with, well, I woke up in the middle of the night, but when I woke up, I was laying on the ceiling and I was looking down at someone that looked like me. My one son used to call it his twin. Well, my twin was in my bed, and so I would float down from the ceiling and look at him for a minute. And then I went out and I was petting the dogs and I was petting the cat. I tried to wake you up, Mom, but you wouldn't wake up. And then I decided to go to Grandma's house, and it was really neat because all I had to do was think Grandma's house, and I was there. But Grandma was sleeping too, and she wouldn't wake up. But there was this dog at her house, which Grandma doesn't have a dog. There was this dog at her house, and I was petting him, and it's like, okay, well, Grandma's got an astral dog, whatever, And I cannot believe that this is an evil or satanic thing when it just spontaneously, naturally happens to us. You don't have to try to do it. You do not have to put any effort into it. It happens to you. So why not be aware of it? And you know what? A lot of really intense prophetic things have come to me in out-of-body experiences and lucid dreams and regular dreams, and just I think the divine talks to us however we're going to hear it. And I think some people are just more prone to think. I think some people are less tied to this material world than other people. I know I am less tied to this world than a lot of other people, and I think that children are even less so. I mean, oh my God, I have memories of out of body experiences as a kid. I met other entities in my living room and shit. And I know that they were out of body experiences. I didn't know it at the time. I thought they were nightmares at the time. I had awful nightmares, but I was out of body and I didn't know what I was dealing with. But I know that I was out of body because every time I had one of these things happen that I remember, they always started with me waking up. I would wake up in my dream and be unaware that I was still asleep. And I would go about my house and do things and have these little adventures and shit and meet things. And there was little green fucking men that lived in the back of the closet in our main hallway behind our bathroom. That creeped me out really bad. I wouldn't go near that closet again after that happened. But it was in the middle of the night. I woke up, woke me up. I was like, where's that knocking coming from? And I got out of bed and I listened, and there it was. And I went to the front door and I opened the door and there was nobody there. And I'm like, that's weird. Somebody was knocking. And then I heard it again. And I was like, that's coming from the closet. And I went and looked in the closet and they were underneath stuff in the back, and they came out and started like chanting shit at me, and it was creepy as hell, and it really freaked me out. But it was a spontaneous thing. It wasn't something I was trying to do. I was dreaming, as far as I knew. I always thought that that was a dream. It wasn't until I started actually researching lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences that I realized that that was what I was having when I was a kid. I had them all the freaking time. I have tons of memories of this stuff. And that was actually the beginning of my spiritual path in general, was learning to lucid dream, learning to recognize when I was dreaming. Smoking was a lucid dream trigger for me. After I quit, I constantly, up until just a few years ago, for like the first 10 years after I quit smoking, I would dream in the night that I was smoking. I would wake up in the middle of the night, leaning over, putting out invisible cigarettes in ashtrays that weren't there, And I would dream that I was a social smoker, and I would even tell people this in my dream. I'd be like, hey, can I bum a cigarette? And they'd be like, I thought you quit. And I'd say, oh, well, I only smoke when I'm around somebody that smokes. I don't buy them. I have literally never done that. I quit smoking and I walked away, and I do not smoke. I quit drinking coffee. I quit getting on the computer in the morning. I quit drinking any kind of alcohol ever. I quit doing so many things for the first 6 months after I quit, because they were triggers. And as soon as I did them, I wanted to smoke. I tried not to even go anywhere, because as soon as I got in a car, I wanted to smoke. So like, I altered my life to stay away from this, but the whole time, for 10 years, every single night, I would dream about smoking. And I realized one night, why doesn't that trigger me to wake up in my dream? Why doesn't that tell me I'm lucid? I do not do that. I logically know I don't do that. I don't smoke ever. I do not smoke. Why doesn't that wake me up? And that night, I dreamed I was smoking. I asked somebody for a cigarette, and they handed it to me and said, I thought you didn't smoke. And as I went to put it in my mouth, I looked at it, and it clicked, and I was like, I don't smoke. And it disappeared out of my hand, and I was completely freaking lucid at that point, and went on from there and had, my little grand adventure or whatever. But we were triggered to do that. Our subconscious does that. That's what the weird shit in dreams is. As far as I'm concerned, you see the weirdest shit. And the funny thing is, when you're studying it, looking into it, and reading other people's accounts of it, which I have books dedicated to it. I have a library of out of body and lucid dreaming books. Everybody largely reports the same symbols. Our subconscious is connected, I think. It's like the grand web of the world, or whatever, that connects all our minds together. And it's like the 100th monkey experiment, where they taught 100 monkeys on one small island to do something, I forget what it was, and then they found that after a certain number of monkeys had learned to do this thing, other monkeys in other places that had never been taught this or seen this done started doing it, because once you reach a certain point, you tip scales somehow, and knowledge travels further. It's an energetic thing. So our subconscious tends to put the same symbols out at us, largely a lot of the same symbols, and they're triggers that you look at, and they trigger you, and you're like, oh, and that's what pulls you out of your dream and wakes you up in it. And it's like you're literally in another dimension. I mean, you create things in your dreams, and they spontaneously manifest. And the thing is, when you get good at doing that, or at least adept at it, and can do it on a fairly regular basis, the things that you manifest in your dreams will start to manifest in your actual living existence. It's like just it's like a layer of reality that's like one behind the solid layer. So when you're creating there, it's like being slightly stronger than just creating in your imagination. And I don't know why exactly, because your imagination, for all intents and purposes, seems to be like the same place, but it's not. So yeah, I do not believe that it is satanic or negative in any way. I don't believe that any tool is satanic or negative in any way. A car is not a satanic negative thing. But if you run down innocent pedestrians with it because you're a drunk piece of shit, it becomes a murder weapon. A baseball bat is just a baseball bat when you're hitting a baseball with it. But if you hit a skull with it, it's a murder weapon. I don't think, because there are good and evil entities everywhere. They're in flesh and blood around us. They're in the energies around us, and they would be in the astral world as well. I mean, there are lots of accounts of light beings and dark beings in the astral plane. And I just don't, no one ever goes to the astral plane accidentally in their sleep, unaware of it, and dies. or has, super awful negative shit happen to them, and, they wake up missing kidneys or something because something ripped it out of them in the astral while they were accidentally projecting in their sleep. This shit doesn't happen. So I really can't see how being consciously aware of it happening and using it to your advantage could be a negative thing, or a satanic thing, or a dark thing, or whatever. It's a completely natural biological function that we can't even control. So, at least that's my 2 cents on it. My big fat opinion. But we're on my channel, so that's what you get. My big fat opinion. Did you know that the Bible was made up by Kabbalic scribes? The real Bible comes from... Oh, jeez. I don't know. See, I don't know that any of that is true, because I have been told a lot of shit about the Bible and have so far been unable to verify a lot of it. I know it's not a literal history book. That's the best I got, and I read it because I like it. So it comes from a lot of places. You can't tell the average person that astrologers write it, but they did. The wise men were astrologers. The wise men of that period of time were astrologers because they knew what was coming and what was going, because they knew the stars. They knew the zodiac. They knew the signs. The stars are there for signs. So the wise men watched the signs. They read the signs. They followed the signs. That's what the wise men did. But now they're like, oh, that's another one. No, don't fall into that astrology. That shit's satanic. No, the fuck it's not. It's the goddamn stars. The Elohim created the world. They put the stars in the sky and said, these are here for signs. And then we created astrology, where they're literally called the signs of the zodiac. In my father's house is many mansions. They're called the houses. It's all right there. And these are all things that transcend religions. They go from religion to religion and have for eons. Eons in our entire recorded history, through all spiritual and religious texts, they all say the same stuff over and over and over and over. Sometimes it's different languages, but that's why symbolism, back to symbolism and subconscious, that's why symbolism is so important. That's why it's important that, when you're reading that everything seems to happen in 3 freaking days, it's because 3 is an important number. This isn't just, an arbitrary thing that they were writing novels. They didn't write novels. There was no Danielle Steele, 6,000 years ago. They were writing relevant things. They were writing parables and fables and metaphors and impactful things, because the people that could actually read and write were the smartest people. They were trying to preserve knowledge and wisdom and teach us how to recognize these things. And we don't. We read it and we act like it's history, even though you read the book and people are like, well, Abraham and Sarah, they had a baby when Sarah was 90. That's how powerful God is. Well, you go a couple books later and it says, hey, that story of Abraham and Sarah, that's an allegory. It's a fictitious story that is an allegory. It is meant to teach you something. It says it right in the book. That's an allegory. Which things are an allegory? The whole thing. It's all an allegory. And you know what? Jesus Christ is supposedly descendant from that line, that bloodline. So if Jesus was descendant from something that didn't actually happen, was actually just a story that was taught, is supposed to teach you something about yourself, about your own enlightenment, about your own divinity, what's that say about Jesus? But of course, even Jesus himself in the Bible says, yeah, my life as far as flesh and blood is completely irrelevant. Why are we talking about this shit? But we're not here to talk Bible. You'll get me wound up and you'll have me for another hour. Well, then I have to be satanic, because when I'm there, I know what I'm doing, and I don't know. I think intention is everything. As far as I'm concerned, is everything. What your intention is when you are doing something, or, you know, performing some kind of ritual or whatever, your intention is all that matters. And I don't mean like, you know, rituals. I mean, we do rituals all the time. Your morning ritual in front of a mirror, the way you wash your face or shave your face or brush your teeth. You have rituals, things, cyclical things that you repeatedly do in patterns, and these are rituals. And whatever's in your head while you're focused, while your mind is focused like that, you're creating it. Whatever's in your head, whatever your intention is. If you're sitting there thinking about all the people you're going to bitch out that day while you're brushing your teeth, preparing for the day, you're probably going to have a pretty shitty day where you bitch out a lot of people, because you already put that big fat intention out there right in the middle of everything for the whole world to pick up on. I thought it was funny that so many people think affirmations are really silly. Like, just saying things out loud, that's not going to do anything, but it really does. It really does. Talking out loud and saying affirmative things literally alters your DNA. It literally programs you. It literally programs the energy around you. It's just not something that you can see happen. So, you know, you don't think it's there, but I know that it's there. I know that it's there because I know that if I cook rice in water and tell one box of rice that I hate its fucking guts and tell the other box of rice that I really, really love it, the stuff that I hate will turn brown and green and disgusting, and the stuff that I loved stays looking like fresh rice for weeks. This is the power of programming water. So if I'm saying positive, affirmative, uplifting words out loud with intention to bring that into my life, it has to be affecting the world around me. It has to. Scientifically, it has to. So affirmations aren't bullshit, and intention is really super important. It's really super important. That was the first and biggest lesson for me in learning to take responsibility for my life, even the shitty parts. Intention's everything. You will get back what you put in. And if you are putting in shitty intentions, it's coming back at you. It's not good. Doesn't feel good. You don't want to do it. And then you think about how shitty it is, and you add more fuel to that fire and wallow in it a little bit and be victimized by it a little bit. Oh, poor me. And why is this shit always happen to me? And I'm going to make it better. But it really fucking sucks. Yeah, good luck with that. Intentions, intentions, intentions. I might be satanic. You don't know. You don't know what happens when I turn off this camera. I might be killing virgins right this very minute, and you just can't see them. They're under the desk. It is time for me to go now. On that lovely note, all right. It has been real. Have a merry beginning of the new 2019. And I'm sure I'll see you again before long. Bye, guys.